in life and also exceed in life sometimes. You want to break down some barriers, set some records. But this guy sitting next to me now is taking this to a whole new level. Just take a look at this face here. He's sitting next to me here, but here's a picture at least. He has that sweatshirt on. It says Morehouse College. This is a Morehouse man. Don't take offense to this. Maybe a Morehouse boy. The kid's 13, and he's a college student, and he didn't just enroll. He's been there since he was about 11. All right, he caught the eye of all of us. We've been keeping up with him for the past couple years. Also caught the eye of our education contributor, Steve Perry, who's joining me this morning. Always good to see you, Steve. And also, we have the youngster with us sitting right next to me in studio, Steven Stafford Jr. and his mother, Michelle Brown Stafford. Welcome to you all. I got to ask you first, what is it like being, a college campus can be a wild place. I've been on them before. And for a 13-year-old kid, what is it like? You've been there since you were 11. What's it like running around there with essentially grown men?
Well, they act more like teenagers.
Wow. That's a good point. Are you one of the more mature guys on campus?
Actually, yes. And I've been hanging out with teenagers like my whole life. I've always been around kids that are older than I am.
Wow.
And
so you're used to it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Mom, how did you... What did it take for you to get comfortable with your son, your 11-year-old, now 13, to be running around a college campus?
Well, a few years, actually.
Yeah.
When we started, I did say that this was going to be an experiment, because the moment that I saw that it was really taxing on him or causing him undue stress, I really was prepared to pull him.
Yeah.
So initially, I walked him to his classes, kind of stuck around, waited for him to come out. I picked him up and took him home. So that's what I did to make myself feel comfortable.
Okay, Steve, let me bring you in here now. I want to ask you a question first. I think you might have a question or two for Mom and my 13-year-old here, Jen. But how, I guess, rare is it to see something like this young man who was able to enroll in college at 11, and how important is it for his genius, if you will, to be identified early so he could get on this path?
Your first question about the rarity, there are a number of children throughout the country who take college courses, but there are very few who are enrolled at this early an age. I think the real superstar in the Brown Stafford family is Mom. She has had the capacity to see something in her child that so many parents see, and then she had the courage to push herself and the community, because the school system wasn't able to provide what it was that she needed, and she was able to come home and do what was necessary to make sure her child was successful. So I do have a lot of questions. I could sit and talk to Ms. Stafford for hours, because I think
that kind of time.
I recognize that, because we're going to talk about your hair a little later on. One of the things that's important to so many parents, Ms. Stafford, is how was it that you decided to pull your child from the traditional public school?
Well, the thing is, Dr. Perry, I actually started with both of my kids when they were young. I'm talking about 2 and 3. I didn't really hold fast to a curriculum, but we just did a lot of light things around the house, and then we just kept going with it. As far as Steven's concerned, when he kept going through workbooks at age 4, it's when I talked to my husband about it, and my husband was the one that told me, well, give him a higher grade level, and we just kept going ever since then. Now, when we did try to enroll Steven in schools, one was a private school and then another was a public school, we noticed that the gap was getting really, really wide in terms of what he learned at home and what was not really covered in class. In fact, Steven can tell you that he would sit and look at work at his desk and be like, I know this already. Why can't I work on something else a little more advanced?
Well, I want to